Everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel. I have been asked a number of times recently, actually it's been for a while now, people keep asking me about recommendations for Superman stories in particular, or even comic book stories in general. And these tend to be new subscribers or people who've come to my channel in the recent months or recent year. And I don't think they realize how many of these recommendation videos I've actually already done on my channel. I've been around for quite a few years now, and I've done not only recommendations and reviews, but actually analyses. Now, they don't always show up in people's threads, and I get that. So I decided that I'm going to take some of the older ones I've done, in addition to the newer ones I'll do eventually, but that mix those in appropriately with my critiques of modern culture, which will never go away. But I'm going to take some of the older ones and re-edit them, maybe kind of represent them with a little bit more depth or whatever. You will hear the old recordings, so there'll be the older voice on there, some of the software and whatnot. But I think I captured a good analysis of these. And to open up with that series of renewed and re-edited reviews, analyses, or recommendations, I want to start with Superman for All Seasons, because this is such a staple Superman story that I tend to take it for granted that people have read it, because it's just such a staple. Like, of course you should have read this. And it's something that I recommend people start out with quite a bit when they come to Superman or the iconic Superman, written by the great Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. Now, one thing I will say about this analysis that I'm going to give you in a second is that it is an analysis. It's not a spoiler-free review or anything. So I do go through and I don't give you point by point of the plot, but if you're somebody who wants to read it and not know anything at all about it and just experience it all fresh, you want to go read it first before this. But if you want to read it with a better understanding for what it does, both in the actual text of the storytelling as well as the visuals, because that's the thing about comic books. You can't separate the two. It's a story told with visuals and words, and that's what the artist and writer have to work together in accomplishing that. And I think Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb did that wonderfully with Superman for All Seasons. So without further ado, I will go ahead and cut to this re-edited presentation of my analysis on Superman for All Seasons. Hope you like it.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to examine the timeless classic Superman for All Seasons. Written by Jeff Loeb and drawn by Tim Sale, this work easily ranks in the top 10 of any self-respecting Superman fan. The standalone tale is a literary telling of Superman's transition from Smallville to Metropolis. I say literary because the scope, character development, and plot are all carefully constructed to support a common theme. Only by connecting with our past can we successfully navigate our future. A portrayal of the iconic Superman is the perfect vehicle for this theme, because Superman wouldn't exist without Smallville and the wholesome upbringing he received from Jonathan and Martha Kent. The story is divided into 4 chapters, each named after a season. We begin with spring and work our way through winter. Symbolically, that season structure would appear to chronicle the rise and downfall of our hero, his time of blooming, his falling, and his death, metaphorical or otherwise. Spring does see Clark leave for Metropolis. Summer sees his success as Superman. Fall finds Luthor orchestrating a profound attack on the hero's confidence, and winter witnesses him step back from his role as Metropolis's protector. The story doesn't stop there, though. In the midst of winter, his darkest time, he makes the decision to bounce back. By regrouping in Smallville with the faith Lana and the Kents have in him, he doesn't need to wait for the metaphorical spring to come around in his life. With icy snow still covering the rooftops and the seasonal death of winter still covering the earth, he returns triumphant and resumes his place, now unshakable in his belief in who he is and the mission he's embraced. With the transitions in Superman's life, each season provides us with a different narrator as well. 2 men and 2 women from Clark's life tell the story, one each from his past in Smallville and one each from his future in Metropolis. Jonathan Kent narrates the spring. We see his acceptance and support of his son, despite Clark's choice to leave the farm life for the city. We gain insight into Clark's upbringing, the values, struggles, and events that lead to his decision to use his abilities to help others as Superman. This foundation is what he returns to in the end to launch himself back into his future. The second male narrator appears in the fall and is Superman's biggest opponent. In a masterfully written internal monologue, Lex Luthor describes Metropolis as an unfaithful lover. He feels betrayed by the city he dragged up from nothing and made great. Betrayed for a younger, brighter spectacle of a man, and he wants his city back. The context of this motive is a brilliant twist to Luthor, while not straying from the usual hubris and jealousy of the character. Lex fulfills the role of an antagonist by displaying traits and motives that are the reverse of the hero's. Whereas Superman lives to serve others and wants a future grown organically from his past, Lex is self-serving and wants his future to revert to his past, placing himself back on top in the public eye of Metropolis. The first female narrator is Lois. Like us, she is now experiencing Superman in Metropolis. Her reaction serves as a stand-in for that of the world in general. Lois believes in the hard truth of life. A world where nobody sticks their neck out for anybody, she says. We lie to each other, we brutalize each other, we kill each other, and here's this man sticking his neck out for everyone. Way, way out. Lois wants to react with cynicism, her defense mechanism. But Superman's sincerity and purity breaks through, and she finds herself inspired and enamored with the Big Blue Boy Scout. By his growing popularity, Metropolis and the world feel the same way. Like Lex, Lois represents Clark's future, his calling reflected by both his allies and his enemies. Lana Lang narrates the final chapter, Winter. We met her in the spring, saw her as a teenager in love with Clark, and felt her anguish as she realized Clark was not proposing to her and never would. She represents both his past and the future Clark gave up to accept his calling as Superman. He could have led an adult life in Smallville, happy with Lana and with all the safety and warmth of his childhood. He had no qualms though about choosing Metropolis instead, and even though Smallville is proud of their local boy's name printed regularly in the Daily Planet, Clark made a solid break from their way of life. Like Lois in Metropolis, Lana stands in for Smallville. When Clark regains her friendship, he regains the fortitude and confidence in who he is and what he stands for as he flies through the skies of the city of tomorrow. Now that we've mapped out the larger structure of the story, let's look at its individual components, the text and the art. Loeb deftly handles the language, fully embodying the voice of each character. Jonathan Kent uses words and phrases like folks and stubborn as a mule, and often drops the subjects from his sentence altogether in a colloquial small-town manner. Lois, a reporter, uses strong active verbs and quotes or underlines for emphasis. Lex, a corporate businessman, speaks in short, matter-of-fact sentences. And finally, Lana writes with the intimate stream of consciousness one might find in a diary. As for the art, Tim Sale's work can only be described as epic. Always a fan of the 1 to 2 page spreads, he places them every few pages in Superman for All Seasons. Rarely, in fact, does any page appear with more than 3 panels. The art draws us into the universe with rich and warm tones. In Smallville, they're the colors of nature. In Metropolis, they are the colors of an Art Deco architecture, because Metropolis is a nature. It's a world man made for himself, and where Clark goes to find and make the nature of his future. Some readers react negatively to the character design of Superman himself. He towers over all other characters, and his square jaw is enlarged in proportion. The genius of the design, though, is that dressed as Clark Kent, one might mistake him for husky or overweight. But in the Superman costume, his muscles are clearly defined. The point is to make Clark look awkward, trying to pass as a normal teenager in Smallville. Not until he faces a tornado in a 2-page spread does he begin to look natural to his environment, flying through the sky to save a neighbor and to help his parents rebuild their barn. The art emphasizes what Clark realizes in the scene, his calling to use his gifts to help others, his metaphorical place in the world. From that point on, whether flying with Lana over the fields of Smallville or soaring through the cityscape of Metropolis, he appears natural and at one with his surroundings. The lines of the ground or of the city's architecture even mirror his poses and the lines on his clothing. Sale shows Clark's natural habitat to be his heroic work. Visually, his flights through Metropolis are grounded in his upbringing in Smallville. There's much more to be said about Superman for All Seasons. Environmental disasters, 2 natural and 1 unnatural, serve as catalysts for key turns in Clark's character development. The designs for Lana, Lois, and Lex also speak to different facets of Clark's story. I'd love to hear your thoughts, though. Tell me what you think in the comments below about these aspects or others. And tell me also what films or comic runs you'd like to appear next on the channel. Please like and subscribe and share with friends on social media, and keep digging deeper into the comics and films you love. Thanks for watching.